welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Gemini, Sun, Moon or Ascendant, for the month of December. I hope you are well. There's the wind just starting to whip up there. Right, a little bit of housekeeping before we start. If the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there is an extended that you can access at the end. That is the first link in the description box. The second link in the description box is the 6-month overviews that I have completed for all of the signs. It runs to over 37 hours of content, so I think it's well worth the money. If you're interested in that, please, by all means, go check it out. And the third link in the description box is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on Circle. One of the benefits of that, if you join at the mid-tier, is that you get access to all of the extended that I create for all of the signs for no extra cost. Plus, it's full of amazing people who are of a like mind, and it's a proper community. I like it. So, do with that what you will. But let's move on to this and see what's going on with you for the month of December. Can I have 3 cards for Gemini, please? We have the Ace of Wands in your recent past. About the current energy, we have the 5 of Swords. And then what's coming towards Gemini, please? We have the Empress. That's Taurus or Libra energy in the major arcana. It's very nice. We've got the 2 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So, relationships very important to you this month. Let's get some clarifiers out and see what they're talking about. And we're going to go with the triple goddess to clarify. Sorry, I've been doing readings all day and my voice is giving out again. Right. So, Ace of Wands. Thank you. We have the Hanged Man. And one more for the Ace of Wands, please. We have 2. We have the Ace of Wands again. And we have the Knight of Wands. Right. Tell me about the 5 of Swords, please. We have the Tower. And we have the 3 of Cups. And what about the Empress? Where is that here, please? Ooh, we have the 7 of Pentacles and the 5 of Pentacles. There it is. With the 8 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Let me flip this around so you can see what I'm looking at here. Sorry. It really upsets me when they're not straight. It's just slightly... I just like straight lines. I like to be able to see all the cards. Anyway. It only occurred to me the other day when I was watching back a video and I was trying to work out what to call it, and I'd forgotten what the video was about, that I spend an inordinate amount of time shuffling the cards around on the table and straightening them up like that. So I shall attempt to stop doing that quite so much as I have been doing up until now. But I'm not making any promises. So we start off with this Ace of Wands here in your recent past, and we've got the Ace of Wands appearing again to clarify it, with flanked on either side by the Hanged Man and the Knight of Wands. And it seems to me that there are... the Ace is a seed. It is the potential by which, you know, we take it, we do something with it, we expand it, and it turns us... stay there, I'll be right back. My logs are just about to be delivered. Apologies about that. Anyway, what I was saying, Ace of Wands is a seed. It is the potential. It's a new potential for creativity, vitality, the way that you live your life. It's very experiential. So the Ace contains the full potentiality of that. And rather than this being something that it feels might have erupted into your life at this point, it feels to me more like a contemplation of this. We've got the Hanged Man here. It's the card of Pisces that talks about looking at things from a different perspective. And then we've got this Knight of Wands, which is very immediate. It's in here and now, right? It's only just a bit slower than your Knight, which is, you know, the Gemini card of the Knight of Swords. But I think that what we've got going on here is not suddenly being filled with a vim and vigour to do things differently, but contemplating what that might look like. And that's the best way that I can describe what I'm feeling here. It's like, how do I bring the Ace of Wands into my life? Maybe your energy levels have been really low. Or maybe you found yourself being distracted by things that frankly you would rather not spend any time on here. So this High Priestess, I'm cutting the deck there. That's another card of Pisces. It feels almost like you're kind of hanging around in this state of suspension, trying to work out how to invite the Ace of Wands in. Let's have this Ace of Wands. Fucking, yeah. Well, I mean, right. Because we've got the Magician and we've got the Chariot. The Magician is in the reverse now. And the Magician is the card of Gemini for me. It does also relate to Virgo, but feels very Gemini-like to me, right? So what we've got here is a magician who's showing up in the reverse. So that isn't just being in a somewhat disempowered state where you cannot create the reality that you want, but it's also speaking to your identity too. The Chariot, as a card of the self, has also got something to say about identity, but it's talking about forward motion, like forward momentum, like where are you going, what are the goals that you're setting for yourself, and how do you achieve them? Now, I think that there's something kind of bubbling along underneath here that's waiting to come out, waiting to be noticed by you, because, dare I say it, Gemini, there seems to be an intellectualization of this, rather than just doing it. There's some sort of obstacle that you are experiencing, or you have been experiencing, that is stopping you from moving forwards, and trying to work out what that is might be a better use of your time than working out what it would feel like to move forwards. Now, I don't know, sometimes when they talk about manifestation and the methods that we should employ to create that for ourselves, the big they, whoever they are, talk about imagining it as if it already existed, right? So you want to have more energy, treat it like you already do have more energy, right? Push yourself a little bit, but know when to rest. You want to imagine having a thing, imagine what that feels like deep inside. It feels like it's intellectualizing here. I think that you've got an overabundance of swords going on in a situation that is requiring wands, if I am honest. It isn't about what you think about what you should do. It's about what you actually do. And those two things are quite different. So with the Chariot, we've got this need to drive forwards. We've got this desire for Ace of Wands energy. We've got the Knight of Wands, which might actually have you feeling really, really restless at the moment. But then we've got a block. Like, you are not creating. You are not acting as a conduit for something. You are, in fact, blocking yourself. And so the question is, what is it? What's going on underneath there, Gemini? I feel like this is possibly something that we're going to get into on the extended, but just to bring it up there is something that is emotionally kind of nibbling away at you, and it requires resolution. If you're tired and actually probably battling exhaustion, then this may well be something that is to do with that. The Eight of Cups is about moving away from something, taking your emotional investment out of something and moving on. And you feel to me to be stuck right now. So it doesn't matter how much you try and invoke the Ace of Wands, because it is pure potential and you don't appear at this point to have anything to take that potential in hand and do anything with it. Then it's just swirling around you as potential. Now, when we get into your current energy, we have the Five of Swords, the Tower, and the Three of Cups. And whilst there are a number of different ways of interpreting what I am seeing here, this Tower card and the Three of Cups seem to be speaking about some sort of shock that comes delivered by those that you thought were friends. I love this Tower card. I'll check it out here, right? I was looking at it, I was like, how the fuck is that tower? And then I sort of zoned in on the cat, and I realised that this whole card is actually that way up. But when the tower hits, often it does feel like the ground tilts 45 degrees under us, like we can't find solid ground anymore. And then we've got this card that is to do with emotional support systems. our friends, our, maybe even members of our family. Could be other emotional support systems that you employ. And it's all coming out under this Five of Swords. Now, tell me about this Five of Swords. Right, we're talking about an instability here of sorts. What I'm trying to work out is whether the Five of Swords is yours or whether it belongs to somebody else. Tell me about this Five of Swords, please. Is it Gemini's or does it belong to somebody else? Right. This seems to be revolving around a situation, a partnership that you thought was going well, but it turns out isn't nearly as stable as you thought it was. Now, let us not jump to the consideration that it may be a romantic or sexual partner. That isn't what the Two of Cups is about. The Two of Cups is about two people who come together in a state of alignment, and I've seen it for business partners, I've seen it for friends, I've seen it for all sorts of things, where two people come together and there's something about that union, right, something that draws them together into a state of union. And it seemed to be going really well, but there's some thinking here that seems to be a little bit off. The Five of Swords can talk about verbal sparring with people, right? It can talk about kind of verbal sparring that you have with yourself in your head, where your thoughts are battling with each other. And certainly, Gemini, you are given to a bit of overthinking and a bit of a mental restlessness. So we can't rule that out as being possible. But it comes up most often to me to indicate cognitive loops, right, where we are doing something and we don't really know why we're doing it, and we don't really know why we think it, and we're just doing it anyway, or we're not doing it anyway. Or there are certain preconceived notions that we have about things that possibly come as a result of conditioning from childhood or our life experiences or whatever. There's something inherently unstable about just that in and of itself. When we've got the Six of Pentacles arriving too, it's like, yeah, this is unstable as fuck, actually. We thought this was going really, really well. But the reality of the situation is that in some way, I was not seeing the red flags. We can sometimes see the Five of Swords to be self-sabotage too. I mean, this is a month that could see you really blowing up at people that you know. And I do remember reading that was a side effect of this particular kind of Mars retrograde, which is in Gemini in your sign at the moment, that people would flip between bottling stuff up and then exploding about it, and then bottling stuff up and exploding about it, and that it was very, very difficult to just maintain open lines of conversation with people at the moment. Now, we're in Mars retrograde, I think, until sometime in January. I don't know, it was 18th or 17th or 18th of January, something like that, and then it goes into post-shadow period. So this energy is going to be with us to a lesser or greater extent, in its fullest extent at least, in January, and then it begins to wane over the course of the month or so, 6 weeks or so after that. But it feels like what is being illuminated at this time is not only the way that you think about things, which is, it's kind of faulty. There's something faulty here about the way that you're thinking about something, whether you're sabotaging yourself or you're refusing to see the red flags that are coming up here, there and everywhere, or whether you're telling yourself that something is better than it actually is. And it's right across the board. It could occur right across the board. I'm not saying this necessarily as just a spouse, a partner, a husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, wife. And so, to that end, the question for me would be, what's the common denominator in all of those relationships? It's you, Gemini. And further then, are you blowing up and bottling up and blowing up and bottling up? And how long do you intend to carry that on before you notice that there's something going on with you? Now, there's no judgment here from me. Like, I had the most volatile personality of anyone you'd ever fucking met for the longest time. Yeah, the Tower card. Where's the Tower card here? Yeah, I mean, it seems to be... it seems to be suggesting that the thing that is necessary here is actually the stabilization of your emotions, because the other way of looking at this Two of Cups and Six of Wands is that something is exactly as good as it appears. Some sort of partnership is exactly as good as it appears, and you are the one who is sabotaging this at the moment. You are the one who is bringing the Tower and causing this instability. We've got the Son of Cups, which is the Knight of Cups, and the Six of Pentacles here, which says that in the aftermath of the Tower, stabilizing yourself and coming from a heart place, from a very heart-centered place, seems to be the way forward. We've got the King of Wands at the bottom of the deck. I mean, this seems to me like it could well be the thing that is holding you back from the movement that you appear. There's the Ace of Wands underneath the King of Wands. Look, the movement that you appear to be quite desperate to take. Like it feels kind of edgy. You feel like you are on edge here. We've got an absolute stasis here. We've got no movement here. And then we've got something very strange happening in the here and now. And as much as we would like to always be the hero, and in fact our subconscious, our ego will try and make sure that we're the hero in our story all of the time, sometimes the issue is that that isn't the case. Now, I'm not saying that is the way for you here, Gemini, but I feel anxious as I'm sitting here looking at these cards. I've got a fluttering in my chest here. And I'm actually starting to fidget. I want to get up and move around, and I want to go and do something. I don't want to sit here and look at this, but there's a requirement to sit here and look at this for both of us, Gemini. And so, whether it's somebody else or whether it's you, actually the level of work is the same, because it's requiring you to look at the situation and go, right, am I blowing up needlessly? Am I bottling stuff up that would be better spoken? Where is my voice being stifled? That's actually what I want to ask here. And how are you allowing it? Because whether it's somebody is being, Knight of Wands, whether it is somebody else behaving in an untoward way towards you, or whether it is you snapping and being frustrated and then trying to bottle things up and then snapping because it's not working, it feels like the energy of Mars specifically, and there's other astrological stuff going on, I know not what, seems to be grinding away on you at the moment, to the extent that it's difficult to work out where you actually stand on anything. Now, if you ask me what would act on a block, as a block on any kind of forward movement, then that is going to be that, for sure. Because the Knight of Wands in the reverse is a lack of movement. What we need is the movement in the voice. What we need is the movement in the thoughts. Why are you covering your own mouth, Gemini? What's going on here? What needs to be said that you're not saying? And what are the things that you're saying that don't need to be said? We've got the Devil at the bottom of the deck here. It talks about restriction, it talks about fear, it talks about toxicity and codependence and a million other things aside from that. But I've been waiting for this Knight of Swords to show up, and here he is. In the upright, looking directly at this situation, that is the solution to where you are at right now. So if there's something that you're feeling vaguely resentful about, you need to articulate that calmly, but it needs to be articulated. The worst thing that you could possibly do for yourself at the moment is to stay stum about things, because you either don't want to rock the boat or because you're suspicious and maybe you want to let things play out a little bit longer, see where people go. It's causing a kind of tension within you that is making life harder than it needs to be for you right now. So once you've got to the question of what you're not talking about that you should be, or what you are talking about that you shouldn't be, however it resonates to you, the question is, why is that happening? Because there's something rumbling along underneath that is distinctly emotional in nature, that is asking to be seen. And it's asking to be seen before you blow anything up too terminally, if that makes sense. Now, when we come to what's coming towards you in December, we have the Empress. That's the archetypal mother. Like I said, it is Taurus or Libra energy, depending on how you read it. It is always Taurus for me. I can't think of anything earthier than Taurus. And we have the Seven of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. What about this Empress? Thank you. We have, there is the Five of Swords again, and there is the Five of Wands. And this could be ructions with your mother. That's possible. And if it is, it's almost certainly over transgression of boundaries, because both of the Five of Swords and the Five of Wands in this state, like they speak to conflict, internal conflict, external conflict, all the conflicts. You know, we've got more drain on the resources here. Instead of feeling resilient, we've got you feeling kind of drained. But it's also a card that talks about boundaries, and that boundaries not being respected. Now, for some of you, it will be that. And maybe it's your status as a mother. You're not respecting your child's boundaries. But if it's nothing to do with motherhood at all, then it's about the contemplation of what it is that you feel grateful for. Gemini, what is it in your life that makes you feel like you are creative and abundant? What are you creating? Are you creating anything at the moment? You know, this kind of interesting feedback loop that we got between those two aces here and this Empress, because I don't know if you can tell, but she's actually got a wand here that she's letting go. Now, why there would be a wand, or indeed even a cup, on an earth card is anybody's guess. I actually like the fact that they're here, because it comes back again to this thing of, like, where are you allowing your mind to overtake you? And why are you letting yourself get tied up in a knot about what you're not doing while not doing it? You know, here this Ace of Wands is in motion. It has been plucked from its position and it is now travelling somewhere else. But we've got all of this stuff going on in the background. We've got the Five of Swords, we've got the Five of Wands, we've got the Nine of Wands in reverse, Seven of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles. Where is the lack as you perceive it? What is wrong as you perceive it? Do you know what it is? Because the chances are, actually, that there isn't much behind it. There's this one emotional block that you've got going on, but there's like, it's seemingly backing up a whole heap of shit in a way that something so small shouldn't be able to do. So the question is, how do you tackle that? What about the Seven of Pentacles and Five of Pentacles? Thank you. What have we got here? It's all about balance. It's all about bringing yourself into a state of alignment. And the only way that you can do that is by working out exactly what it is that's knocking you off your perch at the moment. I don't think it's much to do with your environment. I think it's the way that you're showing up in your environment, Gemini. So what is it that you are extra specially sensitive to at the moment? What is it that is triggering you so hard? And how do you bring balance back to that situation? I feel for certain that it's about the things that you focus on, and it's about that expansion of those things. What is it that you're grateful for? What do you want more of in your life to be grateful for? But what is all of this other noise around that at the moment? It could be that it has something to do with a sense of self-worth. It could be to do with, you know, a lack of confidence. But I don't really feel like it's either of those things. There's something here very specific, revolving around the way that you're using your voice or not using your voice at the moment, that needs to be tackled. Now the good news is that for December, that means that although it can feel challenging at points, it's all within your control to be able to change this one way or the other. And the interesting thing for me, actually, as I'm sitting and doing this, is like the 6-month overviews that I did. For Gemini, there was a lot about the need to learn to control one's mind. In fact, that was a theme that was running right the way through the 6 months. And I think that here, where you're stifling yourself, this isn't control, it's something else. The problem is if you police your own speech, then you by extension police your own thoughts. Right? You don't allow yourself to think a certain set of thoughts. And it's causing a blockage. Shit is just backing up, Gemini. Like, you have to get this out, whatever this is. Because controlling yourself isn't the same as being inauthentic. And I feel like part of what is upsetting you here at the moment is this feeling of inauthenticity. It is this feeling that you can't say what it is that you have to say. And more than that, that you can't even think what you're finding yourself thinking here in your quiet times. And so what I was talking about there with the 6-month overviews is that I saw this starting in January for you, as indeed for all of the signs. There's been some sort of rumble that was going on in January, and I was like, ooh, here's where it all starts. Except that as I've been doing the December readings, and I think you are sign number 10 of 12 now that I'm doing, I am seeing that for the most part, all of these rumbles are starting in December. So in the first instance, if what we're talking about over the course of the next 6 months is you learning to master your mind in whatever way that applies to you, then tackling this problem here, twixt mind and voiced and expression and all that sort of thing, is going to be a very necessary part of creating nice, fertile, clean ground for you to move forwards on. Maybe the tower does need to come down on a few relationships. Maybe a few home truths do need to be dispatched. Maybe a few home truths need to be heard by you. I mean, let's not forget these things run both ways. But the whole month of December for you is about achieving a sense of balance in your relationships. You have to work at not feeling like you need to repress yourself. Like, the wider question is, why do you feel like that? Is it something about the relationship? Is there some sort of intuitive nudge that you are getting about the relationship that you have not been paying attention to? Or are you overplaying that? Are you now sabotaging it? Like, there's quite a lot to unpack here, Gemini. And I think actually I'm ready to go over to Vimeo and start doing that. Yeah, I think so. So if you'd like to join me over there, the link is in the description box, or you can come over to Circle. If you're interested in those 6-month overviews, that's also down in the description box here. But the TLDR is, it doesn't look like it's going to be a comfortable month, but it does feel like it's a very necessary month. So I would start paying attention to what happens when you open your mouth. Do you close it again, or do you say a thing, and why did you say the thing, and what are you saying? Like, it's a month to get really self-aware, because there's something quite big being reordered about here. Actually, like I said, it's kind of like a small thing, but it's causing this huge backlog behind you, and it's stopping the energy from flowing, particularly from here. So pay attention to that this month. Right, I'm gonna go. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.